Kalimera, Melene Pavlo, and as you can easily guess, that's the only words I know from Greek language, and I'm that predictable, yes. So today we'll be talking about earphones made in Greece. Company named Soundz created a really good, interesting lineup of both custom and universal in-ear monitors. Also, as a lot of such companies, they making different earplugs, both for musicians, for work, and other things like that. And they can offer, they have a really wide lineup. I don't remember exactly, eight models or so, starting with 400 euros 3-driver model and ending with 10 drivers Avant that we'll be talking today. The price is 1,400 euros for the universal version, or for additional 200 euros you'll get custom version. So to be precise, 1,390 for universal and 1,590 for customs. And I'm really glad to make new acquaintances, to make new friends from different countries. So reviewing these earphones is double joy for me. First of all, because I like something new, and also because I like good audio, and actually that's the case. Also, first impression about the company is usually website, and that's where Soundz Custom really do a great job. Actually, one of the most professional looking websites. As a programmer myself, here should be that meme picture with Steve Buscemi. I appreciate good designer and webmaster work, and they have that. They have nice 3D animations, blow-up diagrams, and really nice working customizer for custom designs, where you can select colors, faceplates, and so on. So that all looks really professional, and also what really caused my respect, it's that they're trying to do the vast majority of work inside of Greece, supporting the local industry and production. They work with Sony on armatures. Unfortunately, creator companies making armature receivers is really limited. Maybe someday there will be some Greek companies that will do them, but so far they need to import them, and they use 3D printing to create their shells, some really advanced one. I'm not a professional at that, but they have explanation on their website if you'd like to listen to learn more. Yes, so that will be the correct word. Also, they have a few interesting know-hows, some special crossover configuration. Also, nice feature, they can make custom in-ear monitors with a soft tip of the spout. And I don't have an opportunity now to make ear impressions and to try the custom earphones, but I do believe that this idea with soft spout really increases wearing comfort and actually reducing probability of reshell. But looks like I said too much so far, so let's have a closer look. As you can see, package is pretty basic, but looks nice. And here you can read a bit of description. 10 balanced armatures. Actually, it's good that they have driver config, 2 bass mids, 2 mid highs, 4 super highs, 105 decibels per milliwatt, and 16.2 ohms. So they are on the sensitive side of things, but not too much, not being super sensitive. So that's a good thing there. And they actually position themselves as a company that first of all focused on monitoring, but of course good monitoring tuning is also can be pretty enjoyable to listen. And I will talk about the sound of these earphones a bit later, so let's go in the box. So box with company's logo, and inside we're getting accessory set named toolkit, and metal box with earphones inside. So let's open it. Here are earpieces and stock cable, and here should be cleaning tool and tips. Short clip for the cable. Probably it's necessary first of all for the professional usage. I've seen such short clip by some other monitors making company. Just 3 pair of tips, but I think they will offer more later. Also nice polishing cloth, cleaning brush, and 2 guitar picks. So actually that's a really good touch. If you play guitar, you can use them. If you don't play, there are tons of usages for these picks in your everyday life. For example, if you want to pry open some of electronics gear. So here are earpieces themselves. So I didn't discuss possible color combinations with guys. So I ended up with getting like classical black on black color combination. At least it's the most universal color that fits everything. So in terms of design, they are a bit on the bigger side of things, but actually, you know, I can't say that they are super big. They did some work to place this 4 drivers, oh sorry, not 4 of course, 10 drivers inside of this shell. So in my ears they fitting well, and probably vast majority of people won't get any problems, except of some people probably with really small ears, but for them customs will be the solution. They have a nice, good extended spout. As you can see, there is a lip for holding the tips, or actually it's not probably a lip, it's some extrusion for holding the tips, and there are 3 bores inside of the spout. And they provide pretty good sound isolation. Actually, if they offer some transparent version for the universal model, definitely go for that, because it will be really interesting to peek inside. So good sound isolation and nice comfortable fit. Black version is a bit prone to getting fingerprints, but they are easy to wipe. And also, as you can see on the faceplate, sorry, my tongue twists a little bit. So they have this toggle switch that changes the amount of low frequencies, and it can be easily toggled by fingernail, so you don't need some precise tool to do that. But still, I think that it's not, I'm not sure, but my assumption, like for all earphones, it's better not to toggle it really frequently, because it won't be good for their health. But most likely some thousands of clicks will still be good for them. Anyway, actually a bit of spoiler too, I prefer them in the base off mode. Cables are made replaceable. Here used 2-pin connectors, pretty tightly fitting ones, and the classical 2-pin socket, so nothing is recessed or vice versa, and classical 2 pins like fitting nicely into this socket when you're not looking through the camera. So anyway, they fit back. Stock cable is like it's good. It's not something audiophilic, definitely, and it's at least soft. It looks pretty nice. It's comfortable. It has almost zero microphonics, and here goes the splitter with the chin slider and the connector with company's logo. I like the silver carbon inserts. So not something audiophilic, but everyone likes to play with cables having some high-end earphones, so that leaves the freedom for choice. But in terms of acoustics and usage, this cable is a pretty good solution for everyday usage. And of course about the sound, I've burned them in for 48 hours, but there were no significant changes in sound. Actually, pure balanced armature earphones really rarely change the sound during the burn-in process. In terms of tuning, they remind me a little bit Odyssey MM500 that I reviewed recently. But actually, you know, they remind not a little bit but noticeably, but not in terms of overall signature, but in terms of main idea. Same as Odyssey declared for their MM500, we have that idea here, so they are tuned to be monitoring, they are created for like sound monitoring, but at the same time they are not absolutely natural, and because of that they are pretty enjoyable to listen to the music. It's like, you know, we take monitoring, we take like traditional musical tuning, and we're making like a step toward the traditional tuning and getting like technical detailed earphones I mean, and at the same time not too dry and analytical. So they have this toggle to change the amount of bass, and it works, but change is not drastic. Toggling the switch will give you more body to the bass, bit more prominent deep bass, and also more like dense overall lower part of sonic spectrum, I mean also mids. But this change is not huge, so I can't call that like huge bass boost. But to be honest, I prefer the bass in like natural position or reduced. I'm not sure which point considered as like reference one. So bass, of course, is typical balanced armatures, nicely tuned and well represented. It's 4 balanced armature for bass and part of the mids, and that means that they can pump a noticeable amount of air, but at the same time not as much as some dynamic drivers can. Instead, they're giving you better texturing, more focus on the minor tiny nuances typical for the acoustic instruments, but when necessary they deliver a nice weight, including both mid-bass and deeper rumble. Of course, it's not a bass head model, so don't expect like super strong deep rumbles. It's more like on the correct side of things, so mostly tuned to listen to something like acoustical instruments, for example, or like electric bass, something like that. Of course, with electronic music you'll get a nice amount of presence, weight and impact. Impact here is also good, as you can expect for the balanced armatures. But if you have like huge collection of electronic music, you know, probably I'd select hybrid model. Not only compared to this, but anyway, I'd go for the hybrids or single dynamic drivers. But for the rest of the music, this model will be good for electronic music too, but its main intent, its main focus is sounding realistic, rich, saturated with nuances, and giving you a good sense of naturalness. So let's take first example, and actually it's more of synthesized bass. It's second season of American Gods and a nice track named Shoot Out, more like not fully ambient music, but ambient-ish. It has noticeable powerful bass with drums and overall bass foundation, and what these earphones done really well. But at the same time, they also this track also has really interesting instrumental part that is focused mainly on the upper mids and lower treble, and that's where these earphones showing themselves as really good, building noticeable and pleasant contrast. And the second example, it's David Chesky. So one day David Chesky decided to prove that rap and hip-hop music can be also pretty audiophilic, and he created album named actually it's not an album, it's like compilation. It has few tracks. One of them is Rap Symphony, pretty worth your attention, really recommend you in terms of music and as a proof that well recorded hip-hop is possible. And also they have two additional tracks. One is Street Beat and 3 tracks Central Park Dances. And this Central Park Dances is a combination of orchestra and noticeable bass rhythm, and both of these parts sounds really pleasant with these earphones. From one hand you're getting like good sense of realism of drums because they are recorded nicely here, and at the same time you get a really good technical representation, enough for the overall orchestra. So mid frequencies is like what I really like, and usually such tuning is achieved by single dynamic drivers. But here you getting like a great balance between all the things. Mids here have a good saturation with small nuances and details thanks to balanced armatures, but they doesn't sound too sharp or analytical. For example, when you listen to like, I don't know, one violin, you'll get big, huge amount of details, nuances and overtones, but when it's like string quartet, you won't get like all that instruments separated. No, they will sound like unison, and it's easy to focus on the whole tune instead of focusing on small nuances and details. They have really good dynamics, and that means good emotions. And both they fitting nicely for the male vocal and female one, especially female one, because they have that boost in the upper mids area where goes female vocal, instruments like violin and so on. They built like really good stage, noticeably above average in width and even better in depth. What I like here is that layer separation, but at the same time they are really natural sounding ones, so they don't try to fix something with bad record, like improve stage or add some additional weight. So really good material and actually good source is a requirement for them to show their full potential. It's probably yet another model that I'd say that you need really good records to unveil their full potential, and for some genres records of such quality are rare things. For other genres like classical music, good jazz, it's not that rare to find them, but in general I enjoyed them with wide variety of genres. So let's get some examples. So first one is The Great Pretender by Deadlock. It's some kind of modern groovy metal with really noticeable punchy bass line and drums, but on top of that you getting female vocal and pretty aggressive distorted guitars, and actually these earphones deliver all that really well, especially if you like a bit of palpable and present low frequencies. And second example, I wanted something like opposite to previous track, something more detailed, refined, and so on. And it's Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Pictures from the Exhibition, and track that I as Ukrainian like just because of the name. It's The Great Gates of Kiev, and it's like really unhinged performance of classical music, and there is a lot of improvisation, some effects that reminds that distortions and other stuff, but in general really good performance. And these earphones give it to you, gives you the sense of audience, give you the sense of all instruments, and especially of course they good in representing that electric, probably it's electric organ or mellotron, or what was the synthesizers called that time, so I'm not sure about the correct name, but you understand what I mean. And the treble, it's accented, not overly accented, but it's definitely present. It's very detailed with airy character of the treble with good attacks and decays, really nice layering, and both basic and more saturated overtones. If you are sensitive for the treble, they could sound a bit harsh to you, but in general I don't think they will be over harsh, because they, especially on the upper mid, they are really good in following Harman curve. That means no big spikes or drops, and it's really good achievement for the multi-balanced armature treble setup, so you get naturalness and really good sense of rich, well-developed treble. And let's go for examples. First one, it's Mood Indigo. Not like absolutely perfect record, but I like this album for its atmosphere, for that sense of two great musicians jamming together, and it's Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington. This track is not as saturated with treble as some other typical jazz tracks from this time, but still they did care about the quality of records that days, so you'll get nice percussions. A bit simplified comparing to modern record quality, but still nicely saturated, and these earphones deliver it really well, adding more realism to this track. And another one also like not something superb in terms of treble. You know, I could select, I don't know, Musica Nuda with female vocal, Layla Martial, I don't know, Sting for example, or some of that audiophilic records, but I like their balance, I like that they are technical but at the same time pretty musical, so I wanted to select like tracks to enjoy, not only for critical listening. And the Beatles' Help was a good example. It's remastered version, so treble here is a bit better than at original, and it's a bit simple, but still percussions with a lot of overtones, and these earphones play it really nicely, as well as vocal, instruments, drums, and the rest of the track. Speaking about the sources, you know, it could be basically anything without big coloration and with good technical control all over the whole frequencies. I'd suggest some players of upper mids and lower top segment, but of course they scale pretty good even with like Ultima SP2000 or something like that. Speaking about the comparisons, actually first model that came to my mind, it's Campfire Audio Andromeda. Not this year one, actually this year one is a bit warmer on the mid frequencies compared to this one, and a bit tighter and more impactful on the bass. But like that classical Andromeda is like more focused on the micro contrast and sounds a bit drier. Another comparisons, actually it's Unique Melody Mast. It's more expensive and it has even better treble layering thanks to that bone conduction drivers, but I didn't test Mark III yet, so I'm speaking about Mark II, but it's a bit on the colder side of things and leaning towards a bit brighter signature compared to these earphones, which stays more balanced and like more fun to listen. So it was Soundz Customs, or simply Soundz Avant, really interesting model that I'm glad that I auditioned, and hope you enjoyed this review, watching this review as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a great day.